Hey there, good morning, good afternoon to the friends on the East Coast and Central. I am really happy to be back with you today live. I am Lynn King Smith, CEO here at TicketForce, and know most of you very well that are attending today. And I'm just happy to be back hosting a webinar. I've been gone for much of the month of July. I've been at some pretty amazing industry conferences, and I'm here today to pop back in with some industry updates that I have from those events I've been to. And then most excitingly, to introduce you to our latest project here in the marketing department at TicketForce called the Hub. Now, while I've been busy on the road, I've had client visits to Oregon, I've been to Vancouver, Toronto, I've had conferences in Philadelphia and Chicago. While I was doing all that, the marketing team back here at home was working really hard to design a new place for you, whether our clients, our future clients, our friends in the live entertainment industry, to listen, learn, read, and watch. And we call it the Hub. And it's live today with new content going to be coming at you all the time. So we're going to take a quick walk through and introduce it to you today. And it's a beautiful summer day today here. It's actually a little bit rainy this morning. And I'm sitting here in Gilbert, Arizona. So wherever you are today, I want you to just kind of relax a little, maybe grab a drink. I've got my iced coffee going still, and just join me for a short conversation. It's not going to be long today. And I watch a lot of webinars myself, and I often have other things going on. I might be checking emails, muting when somebody else comes into my office to talk, etc. And that is part of the beauty of the format of a webinar. But as this one today is not going to be real long, just consider giving yourself a little break in your day today and tune in with me. And if you have some questions along the way, feel free to just post those, and I'll do my best to get to those. And Taylor's on today. Thanks, Taylor, from the marketing team, largely responsible for getting the hub up and running as well. And she can post those comments for me. And then stay tuned, as at the end, Taylor's going to draw and let me know who the winner today is. We're going to give away an Amazon Alexa. Everybody who stopped by to see us in Chicago at our booth at Venue Connect and registered to get updates from the hub, as well as everybody who registered for this webinar today, are going to be entered to win an Amazon Alexa. So we'll do that at the end. Stay tuned, and let's go ahead and get started. First of all, just with the industry update, just wanted to give you a quick glance. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. This is from Venue Connect here in Chicago. There's no sound on there, so I'm going to go ahead and just play it. And you can kind of watch some of those pictures go by as we talk a little bit about everything that happened. But Venue Connect was a conference put on by IAVM. If you're not familiar, that's the International Association of Venue Managers, and the annual conference is called Venue Connect. And there's literally, I think we were 1,400 people there who manage venues of all types. So arts venues, arenas, amphitheaters, clubs, sporting venues, stadiums, all of it was there, convention centers for sure. So, I mean, it's a great gathering, as you can kind of see from this video, and a great opportunity to hang with some really fabulous people. So I do invite you to take a look at that, and I want to give you some industry updates from that. And I also attended with our team the League of Historic Theaters in Philadelphia. Now, I was really happy that both of those conferences had a lot of focus and a lot of interest in what's going on in our world of ticketing. So much that both of them had not just one ticketing session, but multiple. And I'm very proud to say that both of them enjoyed input from the head of our INTIX, our ticketing organization, CEO, Maureen Anderson. So it was great to see Maureen at both of those. She really is all things ticketing and is so in tune with the market that she was able to really give some great content out. There were some distinct themes at both conferences, so I just wanted to give you a glimpse into that and see what you're hearing as well. One is always pricing. That seems to be our ticketing hot hot button topic. We all know that at the end of the day, it's really the pricing starts with the artist and with the promoters, largely making those pricing decisions. But the venues often do weigh in, and finally, at some point, ticketing can give advice and determine how you're going to present that ticketing and or those pricings in the best ways. So what we see still is that VIP and top level seats are still doing really, really well in ticketing. And those are the things that are selling well. We're seeing a lot of bundles. We still hear people talking about putting things together in bundles, whether it's multiple shows or events in bundles, or whether you're adding parking, concessions, those types of things. And hugely right now is still experiences. So getting people in, backstage passes, meet and greets, those types of things are still really top of mind and drawing top dollars. And then there's still some buzz going on around the dance that we do between really pricing something well, getting the top dollar we can for the event, and then also not pricing out the general public. So that's a little recap on pricing, and those are still hot topics. So if those are things you're thinking about in your venue and in your day-to-day, and how should I be pricing, there are plenty of resources out there, and we're going to continue that conversation here at TicketForce for our clients, and to continue to have creative and great ways to price and represent your pricing. That's not going away. Secondly, sounds so boring, but there's been a lot of legislation buzz. And so there were multiple sessions held at both of these conferences about the legislation that's out there. Now, this is not just in the US. We've seen legislation this year in British Columbia and Ontario. There's been some state level legislation, and now some brand new legislation introduced federally also in the US. At the end of the day, to me, it's kind of a slippery slope, and this is what we were hearing. Is it going to, any legislation effort going to help the buyers get a fair shot at tickets? And then, of course, the secondary market always comes up in this. And just to clarify, I don't like to assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say secondary market. But that's simply when a ticket is sold first at the primary level, which is at your venue level. So most of the folks on the phone today represent primary ticketing, and that's what TicketForce does as well. Our services are in the primary market. But sometimes tickets are then bought on the primary and put out on secondary sites, whether that be StubHub or Viagogo or whatever those are. And that's a bad example because Viagogo just got banned from Google, so I shouldn't have used that for an example. But there are some legitimate secondary sources, which really started off as a way for folks, if you've got a season ticket and you can't go to that game or that show, to give you a platform by which you can resell that ticket. And that's really where the secondary kind of got started, and it does serve a legitimate need there. But the problem we're seeing as it relates back to legislation is tickets being moved to that secondary market and prices being jacked up to 2, 3, and 4 times what that face value is. And then that's where we're really running into some struggles. And I know a lot of our clients are struggling with how to control that. And some of that does come back to how we price as well. So we heard a lot about that at Venue Connect in particular. And what is the legislation out there? How is it going to affect me as a venue or as a promoter? And we're going to continue to put that forward as well. So that's top of mind. And I got to tell you, I went in early to Chicago for a board meeting, and I'm sitting there with a table full of folks that have all been in this industry for a long time, venue managers from across the US. And all of a sudden, sort of a hush fell over the table, and everybody started looking at their phone, myself included, because we started getting news alerts. And then you started to sort of hear gasps and exclamations and things I don't want to repeat on this webinar. But what was going on was Billboard was breaking the story of the Live Nation Metallica backdoor deal that happened. And that's where folks representing Metallica worked with actually Live Nation, the promoter, to pull aside and to set aside tickets before the public pre-sale went on, pull them aside, tens of thousands of tickets to put them onto the secondary market even before the public on sale. Now, that brought fury to the industry and it brought condemnation of the practice to lawmakers. And it was shocking, not because nobody knew that was going on. There was not shock in that. It was more through the exposure that happened through a recorded phone call that was obtained by Billboard. So I bring that in because this was just weeks after we had the open hearing in Washington, D.C. to try to do something about these types of backdoor crooked practices, getting that inventory out of our hands and putting it into the hands of folks who are going to make massive profits on it. And so it was interesting that that was literally 2 days before we had this gathering of all these venue managers in Chicago, and here this story broke. And so we were very happy that we had as many sessions as we did to address how do we interact with the secondary market and what is legislation really going to do about this. Now, what I hear a lot is questions like, what can I do as a venue to curb those secondary sales? What do I do when I put a bunch of tickets on sale and then I discover the same day or very quickly that massive amounts of those tickets are out there on the secondary market? And this happens if the demand, anytime the demand is high, so it doesn't have to be a Metallica scaled event. We see it when there's hot Broadway shows. You might see it in small shows where there's a small number of seats to be sold as well. So that's something we're continued to be focused on. You're going to continue to hear more about that. And I encourage you to absorb all you can, because this is where in ticketing, we all really do work together as an industry to try to fight this. And so our goal, my goal in serving on some of these boards and attending these conferences is to bring back to you the most that I can, so that I keep my clients aware, and our team is working hard here to continue to do everything that we can to curb those efforts. So eyes and ears open on legislation and the secondary market, still very hot topics, which brings me to the third one, which is huge, and that's security. And again, in ticketing years ago, we didn't even really talk about security. Everybody just wanted to make sure, hey, are we PCI compliant? Is everything okay? And now security is a whole section in itself at a lot of these conferences. Now, Venue connected several sessions that were dedicated. When I'm talking about security now, I'm talking about not the physical venue security, we'll get to that, but to fraud prevention and secure transactions and data. So again, this is one thing that we're all really in together as an industry across all platforms and all ticketing providers. And I'm actually really proud of an industry that is stepping up to the plate and I feel making huge strides to protect our buyers. So safety in ticketing, I always say, is about three things at least. One is the security of the purchase that the buyer makes on our sites. Two is the security of the data that is stored after that purchase. And three is just the validity of the tickets. Now, last year, our industry had several major security breaches. You may have heard of them. One completely took down not only an entire ticketing purchasing site, but it took hundreds of client sites down, and then it literally grabbed patron data and put it out there for the taking. So we've talked about that. We worked through that, and we've been bringing awareness to that. But I say that just to have it be a grave reminder to all of us of the seriousness of what we do every day. And while everybody who provides ticketing platforms is working relentlessly to ensure safety, there's nothing that we want less than having anything happen against our buyers and the security. But the truth is, none of us can really promise 100% security. So while we often say We're not saving lives here in the box office. We're not saving lives here in our venue. That's changing because this is really serious business. So security is a partnership. That's how we look at it. And while the bulk of the responsibility falls on the person doing the transaction, so if you're my client, it falls on TicketForce. There are smart things that you can and should be doing in your box office to be secure and prepared in the event that any part of that technology chain fails you. And keep in mind that every time someone buys a ticket, there are multiple technologies that get the job done in seconds and transact that, and everybody plays a part in getting that transaction done both quickly and safely. So if you missed our post about what you can do, we'll get to that later, but we've posted that on the hub, and even though that post is about a year old, it's still great stuff. It's called Look for You've Been Hacked, Now What, from July of last year. Now, secondly, we talk and hear a lot about how to make ticket delivery secure and all that that means. And there's constantly new technologies and methods being developed, and people are trying to attempt to make sure that we can trace a ticket's journey as it's sold, resold, and transferred, and up to ensuring that that person entering with the ticket is actually the valid owner or purchaser. Now, blockchain's still the buzzword out there for this, and it is one way to track the ticket, and it's on the radar, but it's not the only way. A year ago, blockchain seemed to be, there were so many sessions on blockchain. Every time I turned around, someone was talking about blockchain. Clients were asking us about blockchain. A lot of people really didn't know what it was. They just thought maybe it's new and better and it's going to fix my secondary problem. It was discussed this year, but it's toned down a bit. The push is not there as hard. I don't think that means it's going to go away by any means. I think it's just not going to have that surge that we thought it was going to have initially. And it was exciting in 18. And in 19, we're more looking at multiple solutions rather than kind of hanging our hat all on that one that blockchain is going to save the world. So real quickly, we talked a little bit at these conferences about what does the future of security and ticketing look like. And this gets into secure venues. We're not far away from needing to have a full manifest of every ticket holder. And we are ready, but to get buyers and the market in general trained on how that's going to work and what that's going to look like is not super simple. So anytime we make changes to our technologies, whether we go to mobile only delivery, whether we go to having to check IDs when folks are coming in the door, all of that is about educating our audience and our teams, and that can't happen in a single email. Now, physical safety at our events is still a top concern. And again, sadly, just this week at the Garlic Festival in the small town of Gilroy, California, patrons that went to have a beautiful day outdoors were unknowingly at risk. So IAVM, International Association of Venue Managers, you can find the organization at iavm.org. And I'm proud and pleased to be an industry provider and serving on that board. And I also serve on the Industry Affairs Committee for that board. So I can gather information from experts and bring it to you, my clients, our friends in the industry as well. And I would love for you to update me with things that you're hearing. But IVM is taking the lead really with venue and event security. So just a blip about that. We are now offering the Academy for Venue Safety and Security. And that's actually a cutting edge training program for venue professionals of all types to be prepared for what is unthinkable, but what continues to pop up and happen at events everywhere. So if you're interested in you or sending somebody from your venue, you can check it out at iavm.org. And there's a lot of other resources there to help you provide a safe and secure experience for your fans. So it's sad that I have to bring that up, but that is indeed at the top of mind in safety and security in our live event world right now. Now, finally, I was really happy to see sessions at both conferences that were a little more about balancing work and life and our approach to life, and rather just being, strictly technologies and what's going on in our industry. there was a lot of very interesting sessions, and they talked about our approach to work, and diversity and inclusion was brought up and discussed in the industry in multiple times in multiple formats. Promoting women in the industry, as live event industry has been dominated by men for so many years. So I was excited to see us talk about those types of things and to bring some really great sessions and opportunities for people to have those conversations. Things are changing quickly, and new leaders are emerging who are talking to those issues, and that's just really key. A couple of comments I asked my team this morning that they had to say about their conference experience. Scott Greban said, I loved Mike Veek's keynote from the arena track on creating joy and passion in your workplace and career. So this was just one of those types of sessions we were talking about. His belief is that fun is good, to take your work seriously, not yourself. And Scott says, that's a good reminder for me. And to reduce stress with fun and find your passion and bring it back into your work. And that's what I really love about this industry. And I think those are what conferences, whatever you go to, it's good to come back to get inspired and then come back and bring that back to your work, because we really are delivering experience every day in our venues and organizations. And Dan from our organization too, he went to LHAT. It was his first time, the League of Historic American Theaters, to be exposed to that amazing group of people. And he said he loved the LHAT session on in-house promoting that was led by Numa and John from Florida and Tampa Theater. And again, I love that too. Two really fantastic friends and clients of TicketForce. And he said they had great tips on how to program your theater with music, with film, or with theater, all while really embracing and leveraging the fact that you are a historic theater and bringing that in. So some very inspirational stuff that went on this year at the conferences. A highlight for me was seeing Linda Deckard. Some of you may know her as the Venues Today founder, and she has been reporting on our industry for so many years. She received the Joseph J. Anzavino Award, and I loved how she said it when she accepted the award. She said, I love to tell your stories. So just a little inspiration there and a little hot topics. And real quick before we move on to the hub, does anybody have any questions about anything that we saw, at the conferences, and any other questions this morning? It looks like I see one. Yeah, no, somebody is just asking if the slide's supposed to be showing. No, that was the only one that was there. So that's fine. Okay. And now we're going to get into our brand new baby here at TicketForce, which is the hub. Now, the idea for the hub came as we realized that our team in the TicketForce office is pretty constantly reading and sharing news and ideas in the industry. Right here in our office, we have a live version of the hub every day, ideas being shared. So we might share posts that we read on Slack, and that might spawn a discussion there, and more times than not, an actual conversation in the office. There's those of us who have been in the industry for years, mixed with some new opinions and thoughts, and we engage in what often turns out to be a pretty lively learning experience. And so we thought, why not share what we're reading and writing and watching with more people? Could we build a place online that's going to offer fresh content curated by our own team that you can come back to and use as a resource over and over again? And so we did. So the hub was launched brand new just last week. And while we're still building it out and we're still adding content as quickly as we can, I wanted to give you a quick tour of the hub today. So this is the hub live, and we've got the content hub here. You can go here right now. Again, it's in its birth stages, but you can see the idea is that you come in here and you can gather information. So we start first with the hub home, and there's always going to be on the home page a featured article that we find to be really key. It may not be our latest one. It might just be something that we really feel is at the center of what we want to be talking about right now. So we've got posted there, again, we're still talking about the ticketing regulation and fair and equal access. So that's just a blog post that's sitting there, and that happens to be heading up our hub right now. So if you come in and you see our initial article, this is very similar to just coming into a blog, and you can just hit the continue reading button and read the whole article if you choose to. But we've added some tabs now instead of just having a blog home. So the Learn tab, this is where you're going to look for white papers and some PowerPoint decks here. We know everybody's in a hurry and that you can't always take the time to dig and Google around for what you want. So Learn is going to be our spot for some quick technical updates, some how-tos, and some tips. So examples of what might be in the Learn would be like we've got some bundles, get ready to bundle, the pricing wars, those types of things might be in the Learn section. And we'll also begin to post some short, quick videos for clients when we've got new features released. So start to look for some new content there on Learn. Listen, now we all love podcasts, and over the past few years, we've put out some great interviews without really realizing that they were podcasts. Now that the hub is live, we're getting past interviews ready to post here, and we're going to start adding fresh new content from our new podcast and any others that we find around the industry that we want to bring to you. Our past interviews have included industry leaders, and we've had a series about women in the industry that continues to get lots of listens. So this is where you'll tune in the listen section. Some of our past highlights are Margaret Lake, and Amy Grosso was one of our most recent ones, where we did a talk with her. Amy's the VP of Live Entertainment at Caesar's Palace. She's young, she's a young mom, and she had a fascinating conversation about how she's been balancing and juggling all that career success with her two young twin daughters that she's raising. So that's a fascinating one along those lines. But she also threw in some ticketing gems. She's bright and incredible. So we do very casual, fun conversations there. And we'd love to hear your ideas on what you'd like to hear about in future podcasts. Now, reading is what we all do when we come into blog posts, so the written word's still good, and we're going to have a lot of blog content here, and we already do. But a quick blog is a nice way to get your day started off right. We have a number of folks that come into work, they grab their coffee and they sit down at the computer, and one of the first things they do, myself included, is to just check some of the messaging, check Twitter, check the blogs that we follow, and see what's going on. Now we write about everything here. We write about ticketing, we write about live events, we write about security, we write about how to use the system better, but we also love anything that just helps us to be better. And so an example of that is this soft landings, 5 ways to return from vacation better than you left. I had a chat with our team on one of our team meetings and realized that a lot of people are coming back from vacation just dreading getting back into the work. And so I've had years and years of figuring out how to come back successfully and figuring out what the fails are at coming back. So we put a little blog up about that. And those are the types of things that have nothing to do with our platform, perhaps nothing to do with ticketing, but that we just want to provide there for you. We talked about, put out our statement on Pride Month for TicketForce as well. So you may find a lot of information that's not just strictly technology. And then finally, the section on Watch. Now, the Watch section is where we're going to be migrating our YouTube channel that's full of past webinar and current webinar content and sessions. So today's session, for example, one of my favorites here, this stuff ages really well, and we do review it from time to time. But one of my favorite webinars was last year with Andrew Thomas and Greg Fahey. And those guys gave us a solid hour of some of the smartest and best brain power on ticketing. We talked about airline ticketing versus event ticketing. We talked about the blockchain debate. And those guys, two really brilliant minds that we're able to bring you. And, you know, the opportunity for you to ever get to a conference may not be real. If you do, you may not be able to hear Greg or Andrew speak. But here we've got it right here for you. So as that populates and we get that migrated over from our YouTube channel, you're going to find some great stuff on the Watch section. So we do want to hear from you. Please submit any requests for content and what you would like to hear about. If you'd like to write a guest post, or you've written a post that you think would be helpful to others in the industry, send it to us. It's the team at TicketForce.com, and just let us know. I would love to see something on XYZ on the hub. I'd love to see a webinar on this. I'd love to read a blog on that. Could you put some material out on? And we want to hear from you, so that we can provide great content for you. And again, share something with us, because oftentimes we can repost content that's already been put out there, obviously with their permission. Now, we want to get you to subscribe, and if you're a TicketForce client, you're already going to get these updates, but we want to get some subscribers to the home, and by subscribing, you'll be able to get updates that sort of condense the newest content out there right to your inbox. So when you get that, you'll be able to pop on that and then click back in here. So I like that as a user, because I forget to go to these sites, and I know that they're there, but when I get that reminder in my inbox, and I can just real quickly look and go, well, there's nothing I want today, so I'm going to X out of that and delete it, or something catches my eye that I want to read, and then I can click on there. So we want to make it easy for you to get here, and so be looking for that as well as we grow the subscription to the hub. So finally, I'm waiting to hear, let me check real quick. We're going to give away the Amazon Alexa. So if Taylor can give us a little hint on who that is. And does anybody have any questions or comments? I see Miss Amy Grassa saying, I love it. Thank you so much, Amy. Nice to see you. That's fantastic. But any other questions from what we shared today and what we talked about today? And then I'm going to wait real quickly for Taylor to clue me in on our lucky winner of the Amazon Alexa. Hey, Michelle says, wonderful, nice. We missed you, Michelle, at the last couple of conferences, but we were happy to visit with folks. Michelle is from the amazing Morris Center in the now famous South Bend, Indiana. So nice to see you, Michelle. And we are going to announce our winner of the Amazon Alexa is Mr. Kevin Wright. And Kevin is from the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center. So congratulations to Kevin. We love doing these little giveaways just to kind of engage with you more. And we love having you here today. Please, if you know someone in your organization who might want to take a look at the hub, share that with them, or may want to just give a quick listen. This was about a 30-minute presentation today, so please share it around your organization. If you have any other questions, let us know. And I thank you for attending today. I hope you guys have a really great day and enjoyed your little break this morning with me. I know I did. Thank you so much, and we will see you and talk with you soon. Bye-bye.